This one begins with a very tricky idiom, a means to, a means of, or a means for. When we say blank as a means to, what we're talking about is that we're taking some sort of step, and we're hoping that step will lead to a result that is something completely different. I'm going to take this step as a means to achieve some other kind of result. And so the point is those two are very different things. When we say a means of, that's more talking about a tool. I use a tool as a means of performing some kind of action. For example, I used the wooden plank as a means of rowing the boat. And so first of all, that is use of a physical tool. Second of all, there's a certain analogy. In other words, at that moment, the plank is being used exactly like an oar or a paddle. So there's a certain similarity between the two. Here, if I said stressing the arts as a means of greater economic development, it would imply that the arts themselves are a kind of economic development. And that's not exactly what we want to imply here. In fact, the arts is some sort of step, and by taking this step, the cities are hoping to achieve a very different result. That different result is economic development. So in this context, means to is correct. And incidentally, means for, that is wrong 100% of the time. So right away, C, D, and E are all incorrect. I'll also point out that the two verbs are stressing and are investing. Those have to be in parallel. They're correctly in parallel in A and B, and they're not correct in C and D. And of course, E, the verb becomes a noun, which is something that is almost always incorrect on the GMAT. The only difference between A and B is either to greater economic development or to greater development economically. And the word economic, it should be modifying development. It's the kind of development we're talking about, economic development. To greater development economically, that's very strange. Changing it to an adverb then means that it modifies the verb instead of the noun. They're stressing it economically. That doesn't quite make sense. So B is wrong. A is free of grammatical error. It is direct, clear, sleek. It is by far the best answered choice.